is so pathetic. It's like having like a little bear or a little dog to like play with when she's on set. I'm like, yay! So yeah.
And it's honestly for the rest of us, it's so much more enjoyable working with the doll than with Natasha herself. And so it's that part is nice.
How's everyone doing today?
Hi, Grant.
Hey, Grant.
Hello,
I gotta
Grant.
say, hi. I gotta say, I'm very excited to talk about this show. I've loved it since it launched. I was a big fan of the film even prior, and season 5 just continues to be a winning streak for you all. Mark, I actually wanted to come to you first. It's so interesting to see Colin Robinson come full circle back to where we first met him, but still have a little bit of an evolution in a way. What is it like for you to be back playing an adult Colin Robinson, so to speak, versus, the younger incarnations that we just saw in season 4?
It's been really fun. It's been so nice to be back and getting to play off my friends and fellow actors, and kind of rediscover the character a little bit. And yeah, he's a little off kilter yet, a little off his game a little bit this season. And that was kind of a choice I had made going into the season. I don't know if it worked or not, but usually my choices don't work. But it was fun. Yeah, it was great being back with these guys and getting to goof around with them.
I think it worked. I think your choices were great. They were fun to see.
It was a lot for us to have Mark back. It was a lot. We got a lot.
A lot of energy drained. Kayvan, I wanted to come to you next. I love the new dynamic we get to see between you and Guillermo throughout the season as they sort of start to drift apart. What was it like getting to explore that, both with Harvey and without him, since you were apart for so much of those first 4 episodes?
Well, thank you for noticing of our new dynamic, because it is quite subtle, I guess. And I guess performing the episodes, you don't necessarily get a good sense of how that will make an impression on the audience, because it's so like bitty and incremental. But I think for Nandor, it's a new difficult space to exist in without having Guillermo's attention, his kind of undying love, not be there. And, he's not necessarily on this kind of eat, pray, love journey this season. So, he's kind of biding his time. He's not looking for love, really. He's not trying to reinvent himself. He's kind of just trying to get by with this thing missing that he can't necessarily call out as missing, because he doesn't want Guillermo to know that he gives a shit, even though he does. So, he goes to space and does fun things like that, I guess. And coping mechanism. Go to outer space.
That was quite the moment. Getting to see that come to life. I was laughing the whole time. But it is something that I'm really excited to see how it plays out the rest of the season. And then Natasha, I'll come to you next. I really loved getting to see you sort of explore your roots throughout the season, and also have to deal with Laszlo trying to get in on that kind of fun. What was it like getting to explore that part of your character, as well as getting to explore that new dynamic with Matt throughout the season?
I really like something that's so unique and amazing about this show is how our characters have such a ridiculously long life history. So anytime we get to like pick out like, oh, by the way, this was a thing that they did back in this time, like finding it, like with the Colin Robinson thing, where it's like, oh, he does this thing where he stores all his fires and he has it, all that stuff just like really builds the world and really like reinforces the idea that they have actually existed for so many years. So anything like that, I'm a massive fan of, and really it like speaks to the originality of that element of the show. And then having Matt come in, and I guess in the storyline, it's like, they're very tribal. The Greek people, as my Greek family can be quite tribal, and like not wanting to let in outsiders. But I also think though that Matt Berry looks more Greek than most Greek men. So I think that really helped him in this storyline and would help him in real life. Like he could make it into many a Mediterranean family, I think. That hair.
The hair, the beard, all of it. He just nails it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great though. That like you say, the world continues to build, and we get to explore so many of your rich backstories. And I'm curious, how much input do each of you have in exploring your backstories throughout the show?
I think the writers are very I guess sensitive and they're insightful in the way that they I never went to them and said, can we have an episode where Nudge is actually Greek? But I think through the early seasons of the show, and even in my audition for the show, I mined my Greek heritage. I don't know if Nadia was necessarily Greek. I don't know. But that they definitely they're so collaborative that it's that they'll instinctively be like, oh, that kind of makes sense for that because that's somewhere we've taken the character. So let's explore that. So yeah, I think it's collaboration and them being actually watching us and listening and caring about making the character and everything seem authentic. They've mined Kayvan being able to speak Farsi and his Iranian Persian background, and Mark's kind of bald Midwestern background.
Yeah, there was no way she was not going to be able to insult me, even accidentally, with that.
Oh, I love to see the dynamic that you all have off camera as much as on. You clearly have a great little friend group here. I love to see it.
Yeah, Doughboy background.
And so since you mentioned or since we talked about Matt briefly, Kayvan, I wanted to come to you next. I love that we've gotten to see a lot more of Nandor and Laszlo together in recent episodes. What is it like being able to play off of him much more, even with something like the episode opener of you guys testing the mics and bickering with one another? What has it been like to really explore that dynamic even further?
I guess the Nandor Laszlo dynamic is, I'm almost like his second wife in those those scenes. I kind of feel like his second wife, like his nagging, bickering wife, because Laszlo does whatever he wants, and that's one of the greatest appeals of the character. And Matt plays that so beautifully that you would love to live your life like how Laszlo lives his life, whereas Nandor is he's a bit slow to the party because he thinks he can be a goody two shoes in that dynamic. Whereas Laszlo's just like, shut the fuck up. This is how we're going to do it. But that's what's so great. Like the shifting sands of how each character plays off each other. The other character kind of changes with the combination of the scene, like when I'm with Colin Robinson, I'm a bit more bossy, and I boss Colin Robinson around in a way that I would never dream of bossing around Nadia or Laszlo. I mean, Mark might disagree with me. Mark might be in that scene thinking, I'm bossing the shit out of this guy. Let me tell you, Colin Robinson, I'm telling you what to do.
No, it is interesting as the seasons have gone on that these characters have this interpersonal dynamic between each of the characters. So like how I know how Colin Robinson behaves around Nadia, and they have their own dynamic, and that makes it just so much more fun to play than just, oh, this is my character, that's your character, and these are the lines that we have to say, and we'll figure out some sort of dynamic.
So speaking of your two dynamics, the body swap episode was hysterical. And I loved that we also got to see Kristen Shaw get to be not only a bigger part of this season, but especially that episode. What were your first two reactions, Mark and Natasia, when you got that script and you saw what the story was going to entail for you both?
I mean, I was so excited, and that script is so funny. And I think we've spoken to a few guys on this press tonight, and everyone seems to be talking about that ep, and I'm so pleased because when I read it, I was like, you've got to be kidding me. There is too much in this episode, and I never thought we'd manage to film it. And we did. And Kayvan went to space. And also when I read it, I think with the body swapping stuff with Mark, I really thought it'll be CGI. It'll be, you know, like some green, they'll put some green fabric on my head. And then no, I had Mark's a rubber version of Mark's face on the back of my head. Mark had my body, and he had my arms attached to his arms, and his arms were green, so he could make it look like my arms were moving backwards. And it was, I had my phone camera out a lot that night. I was doing a lot of selfies, let me tell you, doing a lot of backstage photos because I couldn't believe how mad everything was.
It sounds like priceless mementos to have. And then, so Mark, from your perspective, what was it like when you saw the script and going into filming all of that?
Gosh, that script is that's one of our best scripts that we've had it, or one of my favorites. I shouldn't say best. We've had a lot of really great scripts. Yeah, it was just so anytime I get to do any kind of weird business like that, I love it, just because I'm a lazy actor. And so you give me a crazy outfit and some singing, and I'm all there because it's fun and it doesn't require a ton of effort on my part to be funny.
Also, anytime they get Charmaine and Sean, Anthony Tamannik and Marissa in the show, is always like, you know, it's going to be good, because I think their dynamic mixed with ours is always just so stupid and funny. So yeah, that's another amazing element of that episode, I'd say.
That duo reminds me so much of Jenny Slate and Ben Schwartz in Parks and Rec, and I loved it. I love it every time they come on the show here. They're such a fun recurring player. And so Natasia, I want to come back to you. What is it like playing against a doll, essentially, of yourself throughout the show? I mean, how does one prepare for that? How does one film those scenes? Can you talk me through that?
I mean, it's so fun. It's just like, it's like another comic foil that the writers have like layered into the sort of absolute toxic, like what's the word I'm looking for, when, you know, like that we none of us should really live together, none of us should be friends, none of us should be family, but we all kind of mix together. And then you add in like the doll with your dead ghost, the spirit of your dead ghost trapped inside it. So yeah, it's just heaven. And like, it's so fun when you're sat round in a room and there's like everyone's talking, and then like the puppeteers are like making the doll, like practicing the doll, and you're like, oh, well, this is absolutely insane. And doesn't feel like it's jumping the shark. Like, doesn't feel too much, feels somehow completely fine and normal in this world. And it's just like, oh yeah, you know, like that someone will go and sit down in a chair and they'll be like, sorry, the doll's going to sit there. And it's like, oh yeah, of course, sorry. You know, like completely as if she is another character. And that's down to the, I guess, the like talent of the puppeteers and the like sort of workshop guys. But yeah, I absolutely love it. And I find it really, don't know, it's like, it's so pathetic. It's like having like a little bear or a little dog to like play with when she's on set. I'm like, yay. So yeah.
And it's honestly, for the rest of us, it's so much more enjoyable working with the doll than with Natasha herself. And so it's, that part is nice.
Oh wow. The jabs are flying right back at you. But that's I love it though. I mean, I love that I love the bond you have all formed off camera, like I said earlier. And I again, season 5 continues the win streak. I really can't wait for people to see it. I see I'm getting the rap signal, so I'm gonna have to let you all go. But thank you so much for taking the time to chat. I greatly appreciate it.
Thanks, Grant.